Hey guys, so today I have an updated products I've hit pan on video. So these are all of the pans that I've hit in my collection within the last like 6 or 7 months. I like to film these videos about twice a year just to update you on the new pans in my collection. I'm always so proud of any products that I've hit pan on because there's just something so satisfying about hitting pan on products. I'm sure you guys know the feeling if you are a fellow project panner or just somebody who likes to really use what you have and get your money's worth out of your products. So most of the new pans in my collection are actually eyeshadows, but then I do also have 2 face powders that I've hit pan on. So I have a total of 11 new pans since my last products I've hit pan on video, but some of them are like multiple shades in one palette, so I have 7 products total to show you today. So let's go ahead and start with the 2 powders that I've hit pan on, and one of them I actually just hit pan on today. If you watched my most recent makeup basket video, I was talking about how I wanted to hit pan on this at some point. I wasn't expecting to hit pan on this as soon as I did, but this is the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Pressed Powder. I've been raving about this a ton lately. This is my current favorite powder in my collection. I use it for both the under eyes and the face. And this is going to be the hardest pan to actually see today because it is just the tiniest little pinprick of pan. But can you see that teeny tiny pan there? It's right there on that ring in the middle. So that is a teeny tiny baby pan, but I'm really excited about it. And considering how much I've used this powder, I feel like it took me quite a while to hit pan on it. So I feel like it's a pretty good bang for your buck. I have this on today as both my under eye and my face setting powder. It's just such a great powder. I feel like I would be happy to have just this in my collection. It's very blurring. It does mattify, but it never looks dry, and it's just so lightweight. It's just a really satisfying powder to use. So really excited about that and excited to finally have pan on this one. I wouldn't be surprised if I actually used this up this year. And then the other powder I've had pan on for a little bit longer. This is the e.l.f. Sheer Tint Finishing Powder. This does have a larger pan in it, you can see there. And this is actually my other favorite powder. These two both I mentioned in my current top 2 in every category. These are my current favorite powders. They're both really good. The e.l.f. one I just don't really use on the under eyes because it's a little bit too dark there, but it's great for the face. Again, very smoothing, a little bit creamier than the CoverGirl one, so this one may be even better if you have like very dry skin. I mean, I don't know, it just has like a slightly creamier feel to it when you touch it, you know, versus the CoverGirl one is a little bit more like silky, velvety. But this is another great like kind of smoothing powder. It never looks too dry. Another just very reliable one. Yeah, I'm not surprised that these are the 2 powders that I currently have pan on in my collection because they are my 2 favorites. So all of my other new pans are eyeshadows, which is kind of surprising. I feel like I've been kind of on a roll with hitting pan in eyeshadows, and I've hit pan on at least 4 new eyeshadows just this year, and we're only like 2.5 months into the year so far. So I feel like I'm on a really good roll. But the first palette I have to talk about is the ABH Norvina palette. This is kind of my low-key pan that palette this year. I'm trying to hopefully hit pan on all of the shades in here this year. And a while ago I had hit pan on Dazzling. I think that one was included in my last products I've hit pan on video. But since then I've hit pan on Dreamer, Summer, Base, and most recently Wild Child. I just hit pan on that one a few days ago. So I'm on kind of a roll. I've already hit pan on 3 shades just this year. Now these are ones that I was already really close to hitting pan on anyway, and I have had this palette for almost 4 years now, so I've been working on these shades for a while, but I do feel like I'm on track to hit pan on all the shades this year. I may not hit pan on Drama just because I don't really use that shade that much anyway, but all the other shades I would like to hit pan on. I'm actually surprised I haven't hit pan on Rose Gold yet. That is my favorite shade in this whole palette, but I think I've been kind of trying to savor it a little bit just because I know it is my favorite, but I wouldn't be surprised if I hit pan on that one like the next time I use it. I'm also really close, I think, on Celestial and some of the mattes as well. Incense, Love, Volatile is the one I'm currently working on in my project pan. So I feel like I'm definitely on track to hit pan on most, if not all, of the shades this year. It feels really good to already have pan on 5 out of the 14 shades in here and to be really close on some of them. And then I do think some of these will take like the majority of the year to hit pan on, like Eccentric, Passion, probably Soul as well. Those will probably be the most challenging ones, especially Eccentric. I feel like I hardly have any progress on that one. So anyway, it's nice to have some of those kind of easier ones out of the way. Yeah, this is my favorite palette in my whole collection, so I'm excited to have some pan to show for it. All right, so actually 2 of the other palettes are also ABH palettes. The next one is the ABH Soft Glam. This one is the one I've actually had the longest. I think this is actually the oldest palette in my collection. And I now have pan on 2 of the shades in here. Glistening I had hit pan on a long time ago, like I think in 2019 is when I hit pan on that, and I have a huge pan in there now. But more recently I hit pan on the shade Tempera. I actually hit pan on this one during my 1 week, 1 palette with this back in the fall. So I think I actually hit pan on it like while I was filming for that. This is just kind of a matte pinky toned cream shade that I like to use to highlight the brow bone, to kind of clean up the edges of my look, and also sometimes to set my eyelid primer. So not that exciting of a shade, but it is a very useful shade for me. I do feel like I should have more pan in here, especially with this being my oldest palette. There aren't even really that many shades in here that I'm close to hitting pan at. I think I'm pretty close on Rose Pink. That one does have a pretty big dip going, and then maybe Fairy as well, that other gold. But yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of embarrassed that I haven't hit pan on more shades just because I have had this so long. But I do feel like I just don't reach for this palette as much as I used to. It is still a beautiful palette, and I did have a lot of fun filming that 1 week, 1 palette with it. I did 7 looks in a row, and it got me re-inspired by it, but at the same time, since filming that, I feel like I have hardly reached for this palette. So I don't know, it makes me sad because it used to be one of my favorites, but it's a lot of brown, and lately I'm into slightly more like, I just like the color story of the Norvina palette more, so that's probably why I haven't seen as much progress in Soft Glam. So then I have my ABH Subculture palette. This is the 3rd and final ABH palette that I have to talk about in this video. So I just recently actually hit pan on the shade Electric in here, and I had hit pan on Dawn a long time ago, so that one isn't new. But Electric, I finally hit pan on. It was about time because this one had a huge dip in it for the longest time. But I hit pan on that just a couple days after filming my most recent Pan Those Eyeshadows update, where I did roll in the shade Mercury. So that's the shade I'm hoping to hit pan on soon, but I ended up hitting pan on Eccentric like literally the next time I used it. I really like the color itself of this shade, but the shadow is very hard to work with. It's very hard pressed, and I find that I really have to like dig my finger in there to pick up any product. And I do prefer to apply it with a finger just because I feel like it's hard to pick up anything with a brush, but I have to like really build and layer it to get it to show up as intense as I want it, but it's just such a pretty color in the pan. And that's how I feel about the other 2 shimmers in here as well. Not so much Adorn, that one's a little bit easier to work with, but Cube is similar to Electric in that it's like very hard pressed and just kind of hard to pick up any color, but I feel like I am actually pretty close to hitting pan on Cube as well. But I love the color story of this palette so much, and I feel like it's just such an iconic palette that I don't know, maybe I will declutter it eventually, but I still just love having it in my collection, you know? But yeah, I was really excited to hit pan on Electric. So then I have a couple of palettes that aren't quite as old. I think I've had these for less than 2 years. I actually got these both at around the same time in 2020. But first we have the Urban Decay Stoned Vibes palette, and I have raved and raved about this palette. I love it so much. So I'm really excited to say that I have now hit pan in both of my favorite shades in here, Vibes and Tiger's Eye. I'll hold it right side up. But Tiger's Eye is a beautiful like rose gold shade, and then Vibes is kind of like a soft purpley rosy color. The shimmers in here are kind of similar to like a Colourpop Super Shock shadow, or kind of like the Ulta Bouncy Cream eyeshadows if you've tried those, like a very sort of cushiony cream to powder formula, and they're very sparkly and metallic and foiled, just so they have this beautiful like wet look on your eyelids. So those are by far my 2 favorite shades in here. I love just throwing those all over the lid and then maybe blending a little bit of like Antidote in my crease. Just super simple. I also have pretty big dips going in Opal Aura and Raw Energy, so wouldn't be surprised if I hit pan on those at some point soon as well, but love this palette so much, and again, it's nice to have some pans to finally show for how much I love this palette. And then the final palette is a drugstore palette. If you've been following my Pan Those Eyeshadows series, this was the first shadow in my Pan Those Eyeshadows that I hit pan on. This is the Profusion Mauves palette, and I hit pan on the shade Opal here back in February. This is a nice kind of opalescent champagne shade. It's actually a little bit duochrome, and it took me quite a while to hit pan on this, using it as both an eyeshadow and a highlighter. But there's what that shade looks like. I mean, that just looks so pretty. It's kind of a more subtle, like soft shimmer. It's not quite as like metallic as some of the other shimmers in this palette, but like it's just got this beautiful, like slightly pink shift to it. I feel like if you were to show this to me and tell me that this is a high-end highlighter, I would believe you because it really is just a gorgeous shade. I love all the other shimmers in here as well. I'd love to eventually hit pan on those. The thing I love about this palette too is that so many of these shades can work as both an eyeshadow and either a blush or a highlighter, and the pans are big enough that you can fit a face brush in there pretty easily, so a nice kind of multi-purpose palette if you want it to be, and it's only $5. So pretty incredible price for the quality. Definitely has me wanting to pick up more of the Profusion 10 pans, specifically ones that have a good handful of shimmers in them, because I do feel like Profusion really does well with their shimmer formula. So really excited to have pan in Opal now. Alright, so those are all the products that I have hit pan on in the last like 6 or 7 months. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all my new little pans. I'm very proud of them. Let me know, what is the last product that you hit pan on? I'd love to hear about that in the comments below. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you've not already, and hopefully I will talk to you again very soon in my next video. Bye!